Right, team. Greetings from the front seat of my car. I'm actually at Home Park Stadium here in Plymouth, visiting the vaccination site here, being run by the RAT volunteers. And I was at the Exeter site. Sorry, I was at the Exeter site this morning, and I'm just about to head off to Devonport Docks. So I'm just trying to give you a quick update in between flying around, just to keep you updated on everything that is happening right now across the country under the banner of React. And it blows my mind how busy we are right now and the impact that we're having. Last week I told you that we had 250 people on the ground, that Nicola and Luke had spun up, and it was our biggest day operationally in the charity's history. Well, this week we've had 450 people a day on task, which, you know, an almost doubling of our biggest ever day. We are just running at this crisis with everything we've got, and all of you just keep walking towards that danger, and it's unreal. I can't believe it. I was being interviewed by the Financial Times yesterday. There's going to be a piece on us in there tomorrow, and I was talking about Wave 1 and all the work we did, the mortuaries and the logistics, and we were like working hard and we were pushing hard in Wave 1. And she said, but what's fascinating is, that was almost on the periphery of the crisis. She said, it's hugely important, but it's sort of on the edge. Whereas she said, now you're bang in the center and you're at every level of this thing. And I took a moment to quickly reflect, and she's absolutely right, because we are strategically positioned at the top of the voluntary coordination, the voluntary sector coordination, with a beating heart of that engine, and with the methodology that gives it its pace and its teeth, because we can deploy you all so quickly. We are in the main effort, making these vaccination centres work. I've been to 5 or 6 now, and without you and without the approach that our volunteer teams and volunteer leaders are taking, these centres wouldn't have got off the ground. The ability to create flow is much more complicated than anyone would think. And as ever, it's just the wonderful human touch and just that little bit of banter that our teams are providing to what is a difficult situation for some people. And it blows me away. What I've seen this morning and here this afternoon is just amazing. And it makes me so proud of everything that you're all doing. And last week, or this week, sorry, we lost Captain Tom Moore, which, he was 100 years old, but it was still so sad for me to think that his life was coming to an end, because he provided leadership to this country last year. In a time of great anxiety, you need people to step up and walk towards the problem. And he, for me, just showed everything that was great around his generation, one that I've huge admiration for, but also the veteran community, that strength of character and that selflessness that he just exuded in the most wonderfully charming way. And it's fitting that on the day that he unfortunately left us, I get to see our volunteers, not just from the veteran community, just our volunteers exuding those same characteristics, just depth of character and desire to serve, that selfless commitment, value number 5. It just pours out of every team I go and see. There is that same level of commitment and dedication to the cause that Captain Tom obviously just poured out of him as well. And it's wonderful to see. And we are now at this place where people are turning to our teams, because in times of crisis, in times of anxiety, leaders stand up. People stand up to be counted, and other people follow. And I look into the southeast, Steve Finley and Gordon McKenzie, Bebop and Rocksteady. I'd follow those two anywhere. They are knocking it out of the park. And when Surrey had a South African variant discovered, who did the LRF turn to? Well, it's Steve Finley. And if I was ever in the shit, who would I turn to? Steve Finley. And he just is killing it down there with Gordon. The two of them, Gordon spinning up tasks inside Sussex hospitals, right in the red zone, inside the COVID ward, inside ICU. We now have volunteers in there turning bodies, taking bodies that are unfortunately deceased down to the mortuaries. This is like gritty, high-end stuff containing a South African variant with the emergency services. There aren't other volunteers anywhere in this country that can do what you're all doing. And Steve and Gordon down there, I'd follow you anywhere. You're doing the most unreal job, and I'm beyond grateful that you're in this organisation. Because, and I mean, Steve, you've been at this since day one, and Gordon took a little sabbatical to go and build a house out in in Hungary. But you know, Steve, you haven't taken a day off, and like I said before, you got COVID and you kept serving all the way through. Unreal, absolutely unreal. And I'm down in the southwest at the moment. I used to be based here in Plymouth, so it's great for me to be back in my own hometown. And you know, Tamara has just an amazing grip over the southwest region, which is our busiest region. Thousands of volunteers here. She's dealing with so much complexity, and she is just demonstrating excellent leadership and empathy to people's problems, because everybody is very stressed and everyone's working very hard. You know, seeing Joel this morning and Andy here, they are doing an incredible job in very testing circumstances, working with other agencies that maybe don't spin at quite the same speed as us, or see the problem in quite the same way as us, and the level of diplomacy that they are demonstrating, and Joel being very patient with quite a challenging mirror on the other side, you know, is excellent to see. And that's just showing our courage and our humility. You know, it's so important in our values, courage and humility, and it's been demonstrated in spades. And in a second, I'm going down to Devonport Docks to see the team down there as well, who have been providing COVID testing to Devonport through Resilient, which is obviously keeping us financially very much in the fight. All of you, I can't thank you enough. I find it sometimes hard to find the words to describe how unbelievably proud I am of everything you're doing, and the feeling to be in the belly of this beast that, you know, HQ is running so hot. I'm trying to take the heat out, but I can't, because the machine just keeps pushing forward, and the machine is the team in HQ and all of you, and this desire to do everything right for the country. It's the most infectious feeling, and I adore it, and I love this organization, and I love you, and I love everything that it is you're doing. And you know, having been to 2 sites today, I'm slightly overwhelmed by what I've seen. Just amazing volunteers, full of character, full of spirit, living our values and trying to do the best they can for their communities and the vulnerable people in them and this country. And you know, the words from that FT reporter will ring in my ears for a few days now. She said, you know, you're in at every level of this crisis now. You know, you're fundamental at every level of this crisis, and she's right. And it's because of all of you, you know, because of every one of you that keeps putting your hand up and leaning in and walking towards the problem. We find ourselves now central at every layer of this crisis. And you know, one day we're all going to get together and have a big party and celebrate, but that's not going to be for quite a few weeks yet, because there's a lot more work to come. And as I close all of these videos out, if you're sitting on the sideline, you know, get into the game. There is EOIs coming out of HQ all the time, and there is just such a pressing need. So if you're sitting on the sidelines, I just encourage you to get in, because it will be one of the most worthwhile things I think any of us can ever do. It was about 10:30 last night, 11 o'clock, and I was sat at my laptop writing strategy and the plan for next year, because all of that kind of work can't stop, and I was probably starting to get a bit threaded with my life. And Kate, my EA, forwarded me an email out of the info box from a guy called Chaz, who's been volunteering with us for 11 months. He came in through Wave 1 to volunteer, and he's just going out to another job now. And it was just this incredible email that described what volunteering with us had done for him, you know, the purpose, and he felt it was the most meaningful thing he'd ever done, including his 30 years in the army. I mean, he's an amazing character. He was featured on the BBC with us, and it was just the injection I needed to remind me why we keep doing this, because it means so much to so many. You know, it means so much to me, to all of you, and to the people we serve. So if you're sitting on that sideline, get in the game, because you won't regret it, and you will have a massive impact. Team, I wish you all a well, happy, safe weekend, doing whatever it is you're doing, serving wherever it is you're serving. I'm trying to get around to see as many of you as possible, just to show you how grateful I am. Go safe, and speak to you all next week. Cheers, team.